He said, "You're no longer essential," then handed me a white envelope like it was a birthday card. I hadn't even logged in yet. 9:06 a.m., Monday morning, standing in front of my desk with coffee still in my hand, and Drew, the CEO's son-in-law, firing me like I was an intern who showed up drunk. I looked at the envelope, then at him. He was calm, almost excited. "Legal's reviewed everything. It's standard," he added, like that softened the blow. I didn't open it. I didn't say a word. Because while he stood there acting like the decision was final, I already knew something he didn't. The $700 million patent they were parading in their Series D pitch deck, the one behind the neural mapping prototype they kept calling company-owned innovation, I filed that provisional patent 3 years ago, under my maiden name. I never updated it, never assigned it. They forgot I existed in the paperwork, and now they'd erased me out loud. I smiled, nodded slowly, and sat down. "Thanks," I said. "Really, this is clear." He looked pleased. I opened my laptop and started quietly pulling every thread they left hanging. I didn't leave right away. I knew better than to rush. People were watching. I opened a spreadsheet I didn't need, answered 2 Slacks, then walked to the kitchen like it was any other day. Amanda from marketing asked if I was joining the town hall later. I said I'd try. My voice didn't shake. Drew was still in the boardroom when I passed by. He didn't look up. He probably thought I'd be gone by lunch, head down, heart cracked. But I wasn't sad. I was sorting. Because the provisional patent for the cognitive sync layer, the tech they'd linked to $700 million in future licensing, was never properly converted. The assignment form was blank. I checked last week. No one noticed. Or maybe someone did, and that's why I was being pushed out before Series D closed. Either way, it was too late for them now. I had backups, originals, time-stamped drafts, and emails. I had the metadata. They had a slide deck. I walked back to my desk, opened my personal drive, and started moving the pieces into place, quietly, calmly, like I'd been planning it all along. I left the office at 11:42 a.m. No box, no scene, just my coat over one arm and the envelope still sealed. No one asked questions. That's how fast erasure works. Once they decide you're done, you fade in real time. I walked to my car, sat in the driver's seat, and finally opened the envelope. 4-month severance, healthcare through the quarter, a clean reference letter, signed by HR, but drafted by someone who never worked with me. The NDA was aggressive. It listed everything as confidential, including the internal product framework I personally authored. But they forgot something. You can't NDA something you don't own, and they didn't own the IP. Not yet. I started the engine, drove straight home, pulled the old fireproof lockbox from my closet. Inside was the original patent draft, dated, notarized, backed by 6 months of emails between me and the legal consultant I paid out of pocket. I scanned it all, uploaded it to a clean drive, labeled the folder Asset Pending, then opened a new doc. Not a lawsuit, just a timeline. Clean, factual, and admissible. I wasn't here to burn them. Not yet. First, I needed leverage no one could delete. By Tuesday morning, my company access was revoked. No Slack, no email, not even a rejection message. Just a blank login screen like I'd never worked there. I expected it. They moved fast. I moved faster. I used the weekend to tag every critical milestone they had used in their patent update. The 1.6 protocol, the bidirectional relay, the adaptive sync layers, they all traced back to my original doc, word for word in some places. The formatting hadn't even changed. They'd copied the scaffolding and buried the source, but metadata doesn't forget. I contacted a former professor who now consults on intellectual property cases. I didn't send anything, just asked for time. He said, "I remember your thesis. Let's talk." I booked a flight to New York for Thursday. Quiet trip, no paper trail. Meanwhile, Drew posted on LinkedIn about streamlined innovation and tough leadership calls. No mention of me. No mention of the patent. Just a blurry photo of the new lab wall with a quote about disruption. I screenshotted it, time-stamped it, added it to the folder. They wanted clean history. I was keeping the dirty version intact. On Thursday, I wore gray and brought nothing but a flash drive. We met in a small office near Union Square. Neutral space, borrowed time. Professor Alwyn scanned the document slowly, reading with the kind of silence that fills a room. Then he looked up. They used this? I nodded. He tapped the file index. This version predates their provisional filing by 7 months. You never assigned ownership? I shook my head. Never needed to. I was still consulting then. He leaned back. They have a problem. I already knew. They'd built a $700 million valuation on technology they couldn't legally claim yet. He asked if I wanted to file a formal challenge. I said no, not yet. I wasn't here to destroy their timeline, just control it. He said, if they go public with this, it's actionable. I nodded again. I didn't need a court date. I needed leverage, enough to walk into any room and make them flinch. We shook hands. I left the office, walked straight into the rain, and booked a ticket home. No calls, no messages, just one folder uploaded that night to a private cloud titled Unassigned Core IP. Access me only. By Friday, people started reaching out. Quiet messages, nothing direct. One from someone in engineering. Hey, are you okay? Another from ops. We're hearing weird things. I didn't answer either. I didn't need to. Word was spreading, but they didn't know what it was yet. That same afternoon, I got a calendar invite from an unfamiliar email. Strategic IP Sync, flagged high priority. No name, no title, just a Google Meet link. I declined it without comment. 10 minutes later, Drew posted again on LinkedIn. Breakthrough moment for the team. Our provisional patent has cleared international classification. I read it twice, then opened the international database. Nothing listed under the company, but under my maiden name, a pending application. Still live, still valid. They hadn't replaced it. They just ignored it. I downloaded the status sheet, marked the citation logs, and added it to my timeline. Then I opened a fresh document, named it If They Push, and began outlining a clean, time-stamped sequence of events. No emotion, just facts, filings, and dates. I wasn't trying to rattle them. I was building a mirror, one big enough they'd eventually have to look into. The following week, they hired a new IP counsel. I saw it on LinkedIn. She'd barely started and was already posting from their lab, smiling under a caption about real ownership clarity. I bookmarked the post, checked the timestamp, added it to the archive. That same day, a friend still inside forwarded me an internal memo. They were streamlining historic attributions, preparing for a pre-launch audit, and removing non-assigned names from all technical documentation. I asked for nothing. He sent it anyway, said they're cleaning house hard. I read the memo twice, then pulled up the last version of the shared product doc I had access to. They'd already scrubbed my initials from every milestone. Every line now said core team. That was fine. I didn't need the file. I had the original draft, the one from 2020 with metadata, tracked edits, and direct commits to the repo under my ID. I copied the commit log into a standalone PDF, tagged it undeniable, and backed it up twice. Let them revise. Let them whitewash. I wasn't stopping them. I was letting them move deeper into the lie. Because the deeper they went, the harder they'd fall when the ground gave out. Wednesday morning, I got a text from Ava, former legal analyst, now at a mid-tier firm that specialized in IP audits. We hadn't spoken in over a year. She said, "Your name came up in a blind review." I replied, "Where?" She sent a screenshot. Internal doc from their client's pre-due diligence folder, my patent application cited as a potential conflict. The client was ours, or theirs now. I didn't reply right away. I just read it again. They were preparing for acquisition. That explained the panic, the house cleaning, the severance. They were scrubbing everything in time for someone else's eyes. But they missed the foundation, or assumed I was too small to matter. Ava texted again. Should I pretend I didn't see it? I said, no, flag it, quietly. She replied with a single thumbs up. No follow-up, no warning. I opened my file again, added a line to the timeline. External firm flagged IP risk, 8:32 a.m. I didn't smile. I just sat with it. That was the first crack. The first time someone else saw the gap. The story was still intact, but the paper was thinning, and I wasn't even pushing. Not yet. By Thursday, Drew's tone changed. He hadn't messaged me once since the day he fired me. Then, suddenly, a short email. "Hope you're well. Would love to connect on some lingering IP clarifications." No subject line, no detail, just nerves under a smile. I didn't answer. 2 hours later, Amanda from HR followed up. Same thread, same vagueness, different voice. "We're revisiting some historical contributions. Let us know if you're open to a short sync." I let it set. 10 hours, no response. The next morning, the legal firm Ava worked for published a discreet bulletin. Unnamed client flagged for potential IP overlap with former contractor. I saved the PDF, added it to the archive. Then I opened the folder titled Undeniable and duplicated it to a fresh encrypted drive. Labeled it Acquisition Leverage. I wasn't trying to destroy the deal, not yet, but if they were smart, they'd stall it. If they weren't, it would crash mid-signature. I checked the provisional patent again. Still pending, still untouched, still mine. They hadn't filed a challenge. They hadn't even tried. Maybe they thought I'd go quiet. Maybe they still believed I already had. Monday morning, 7:42 a.m., my phone lit up with a name I hadn't seen in months, Jonas's lawyer. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, all syrup and panic. "We're just looking to clarify some ownership questions. Nothing urgent, of course." The kind of voice people use when it's the most urgent thing in their career. I replayed it twice, not for information, but for tone. The cracks were starting to show. By noon, a contact from the patent office, someone I'd helped years ago, forwarded me an inquiry. Drew's company had requested expedited review of the same category my filing covered. I almost laughed. Expedited reviews don't help when someone else's name is already locked into the claim. Mine. Every time I saw those 7 letters, my maiden name, it was like steel in my spine. They could meet with lawyers, with investors, with the press. They could hold all the boardroom votes they wanted. But the blueprint for their $700 million payday still ran through me, and I had no intention of opening the gate. By Wednesday, the press leak started. Anonymous sources claiming the acquisition was experiencing minor delays due to IP housekeeping. That was the polite version. The real version was chaos. I knew because Ava texted me one line. They've started blaming each other. Drew accused Jonas of pushing the firing too fast. Jonas blamed Drew for not securing the rights. And somewhere in the middle, Amanda from HR was quietly panicking because my departure paperwork, her paperwork, never included an IP assignment clause. I had checked, twice. I still remembered the day I signed it, hands cold, mind already planning my exit. They had rushed it, thinking they were clearing me out before I could cause trouble. Instead, they'd left the door wide open. I sat in my kitchen, coffee going cold, reading the press statement they'd drafted. Words like optimistic resolution and productive discussions floated on the page. I almost wanted to send them a thank you card. Every public assurance was another rope they were wrapping around their own throats. That Friday, I spotted Drew outside the investor luncheon at the Hilton, talking too fast, his tie slightly off-center. The man was unraveling. I didn't approach, just watched from the cafe across the street. His smile had the tightness of someone who knows the ground under him is cracking. Inside, I knew the pitch was stalling. Investors don't like uncertainty, and nothing screams uncertainty like a missing patent holder. By 2 p.m., I got the call I'd been expecting, not from them, but from an intermediary. "They're prepared to make an offer for full rights," he said, voice clipped. I told him to email it. When the number came through, I laughed out loud, half what it was worth. They thought I was desperate. They thought wrong. I wrote back one sentence: "We're not aligned on value." No threats, no explanations, just a door quietly closing in their faces. Because the more they squirmed in public, the more leverage I gained in private, and they were already choking. By Monday morning, the headlines had shifted from polite optimism to speculation. Acquisition in jeopardy over IP dispute was splashed across the industry feed. I didn't need to push it. The story had grown legs on its own. Jonas finally called me himself, his voice dripping with forced calm. "We can make this right," he said, as if we were old friends ironing out a misunderstanding. I let him talk, let him circle around the ask until he finally blurted it. They'd match my valuation. I didn't say yes. Instead, I told him my lawyers would draft terms. Ownership transfer only upon cleared payment, no installments, no contingencies. Silence. I could hear him breathing. They'd built their whole future pitch on tech that still had my name on it, and every day without it was bleeding them dry. "We'll review," he said finally, but I knew that tone. He'd already lost. 2 days later, the revised contract landed in my inbox, stripped of their usual tricks, no vague clauses, no hidden escape hatches. Clean. Desperate. I printed it out, set it beside my coffee, and read it 3 times, savoring every word. Then I signed in ink, my maiden name looping across the page like a seal they couldn't fake. Payment hit my account that afternoon. $700 million, wired in one lump sum. No ceremony, no press release, just a quiet transaction that ended their chokehold and bought my freedom. That evening, I walked past their headquarters. Through the glass, I saw Drew at the reception desk, phone pressed to his ear, shoulders slumped. He didn't see me. Jonas did, though, standing further back, watching me like a man who finally realizes he bet against the wrong person. I kept walking. Some victories don't need a victory lap. The day the deal closed, I booked a one-way ticket out of the city. No farewell drinks, no LinkedIn announcement, just a quiet exit. On the flight, my phone buzzed with another headline. Meridian's acquisition finalized at record cost. They'd spun it like a win, but I knew better. $700 million wasn't just a payout, it was a scar. Every board meeting, every quarterly report, my name would hang there in the footnotes, a reminder of the woman they tried to erase at 9:06 a.m. and ended up paying for in full. I closed my laptop, looked out at the clouds, and smiled. Not because I'd beaten them, but because they'd never see me coming again. The best revenge isn't loud. It's the kind they keep paying for, long after you're gone.